It was a virtual carbon copy to both 10 days ago as well as last year. The Chicago Bulls started off with a rush and coasted to an easy win Saturday over Philadelphia in Game 1 of their second-round playoff series. The Bulls showed no liberty in quickly ringing the 76ers bell, moving out to a 34-14 lead before the visitors knew it hit them. That's very similar to the way the Bulls routed Philadelphia in the first game of their second-round series 1 year ago, and it's also identical to how the Bulls began the recent opening round series against the New York Knicks.
And it was a total team effort. I mean, a lot of little things that people don't catch, you know, as far as just helping out and collapsing and really making it tough for them to score.
I thought we came out as a team and played real well. I thought our execution was real great. The guys came off the bench were still coming in and contributing big. Craig and BJ showing their leadership. So it made the difference in the game and allowed, you know, guys to get a break.
Tonight, it's Game 2 of Round 2, with the 76ers sure to come out with a vengeance. Our full team coverage begins right now with the playoff edition of the Sports Channel Report.
This special Bulls playoff preview is brought to you by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Honda dealers.
Tonight, the Chicago Bulls go for their 12th consecutive playoff win at home. In about 30 minutes, the Bulls tip off against the Sixers in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Before we talk about tonight's game, let's look back for a moment on Game 1. The story of the game was the Bulls' tenacious defense. The Sixers had a very difficult time shooting the ball, and that led to the Bulls' 105-92 win. Everybody except Charles Barkley, that is. If the Bulls can keep that kind of pressure on, they should go up 2-0. And for more on tonight's Game 2, let's go to the stadium to Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr.
All right, Jim, and thank you very much. And that was the game on Saturday, John, which you and I mentioned when it was over. The final score was no indication of how thoroughly the Bulls dominated the contest.
That's right. They beat a team that came in brimming with confidence. They had just wiped out the Milwaukee Bucks in a 3-game series. They'd beaten the Bulls 3 times. They came in here. The Bulls hit them with defense and offense in that first quarter. Bill Cartwright, a big member, getting 12 points in the first quarter. A big portion of the share of the credit goes to Bill Cartwright.
Really did. He was able to get the Bulls established in the middle, and after the ball game, Bill Cartwright and John Paxson had these comments about the Bulls offense.
Well, it's more or less just opportunity baskets. I was able to get the ball down low, pretty much straight up one-on-one coverage, and I was able to score.
We're just in a rhythm. You know, we're a good team. We're in a rhythm, and we kept running up and down the floor and just worked real well together. You know, that's what this group has done all year. That's why we won 61 games. We played very well together.
I'll tell you what, the Bulls have won 61 games. They sweep their first-round opponents, the New York Knicks. They blow out the 76ers, and still they're not getting a lot of respect around the league in this playoff season. It's amazing to me.
Well, that's absolutely right, Jim. They did an outstanding job on a team. Again, we talk about how emotionally they charge are. Michael Jordan had his normal game against this ball club. He was top shelf. Charles Barkley couldn't find any players to go to when they got in trouble, but I'll tell you, Michael found a lot of guys to go to on his team.
He really did, and I know we've already talked about the defensive aspect of the Bulls, and after the game they were still talking about how well the Bulls played defensively. Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen.
But the thing was, help each other out on defense, and after that, our rotation correctly, and we were successful in doing that. And I think that's what broke the game open.
Well, I thought we did a good job of practicing on that. You know, I see this team, as guys want to catch the ball and shoot or drive, and I thought we did a good job of denying the ball. And when they did get it, we was able to close out on it.
You know, John, Johnny Bach talks so often about when the Bulls prepare for a team defensively, they need to identify the scorers. They really identified him the other day.
They found a big-time guy.
Yeah. Michael did a good job on Hersey Hawkins, and Scotty did a super job on Ron Anderson.
They did, and also Bill Cartwright on Armin Gilliam early in the game, and Rick Mahorn. So the Bulls did identify the guys. The one guy they found out, and he'll be a scorer today again, that's Charles Barkley.
Charles is going to get his. There's no question about that. Now, as the pregame show continues, let's go to Mike Goldberg.
Thank you, Johnny and J.D. I'm outside the Chicago Bulls locker room along with the beat writer from the Chicago Tribune, Sam Smith. And one thing the broadcasters upstairs were just talking about is the lack of respect around the league for the Chicago Bulls. Is this a team that deserves the respect of an NBA champion potentially?
Well, you don't deserve the respect until you earn it, until you get it. I think that's one of the big things with the Bulls. They haven't won anything yet. and they are a flawed kind of a team. I mean, if you look at the Bulls, you see, well, their center is not a shot blocker. They don't have a big-time power rebounder. Horace Grant's quick and fast, but he's not a great power rebounder. They don't have a legitimate point guard, really, and John Paxson's not a penetrator, not a great defensive player. They play well together. I think teams look around, other players look at the Bulls and say, well, we can beat this team. But there are a lot of things they do well, not only Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, but on the defense especially.
Yeah, the defense has certainly been the key early in the playoffs. You say they don't have, but they do have an unblemished record in the playoffs. Why is that other than the defense? What's the difference between now and a year ago, Sam?
Well, it's taken a while for their system to develop. As you remember, Doug Collins got fired a couple of years ago, and last year was Phil Jackson's first season. He tried to install a offensive system in which the players could work through the system. And I think you see the play of Cliff Levingston and Dennis Hobson this year is not very good because they've struggled with the system, much like a lot of the players did last year. Also, the defensive concepts that Phil's taught, particularly the pressing and the trapping at midcourt, that throws off another team's offense when they try and set up. That's taken a while almost for the players to believe in it. They really believe this year that it will work. Last year they had some doubts.
Yeah, well, there are no doubts thus far, and there's a lot of believers in Chicago. Is that defense effective enough to beat that team in the West? Probably the Portland Trail Blazers. Everybody's talking about a Bulls-Trail Blazers matchup in the finals.
I think it is. I think one thing the Bulls have going for them is Portland's a dumb team. They take a lot of bad shots in crucial situations. They're a very confident team. They think they can get every missed rebound, and you'll see them do some things like they did in the Seattle series, which won't make much sense. The Bulls are a pretty sound, fundamental team, despite the stars they have. They know how to play and play together, and I think they're starting to get ahead of steam. I think that's why the second game tonight against Philadelphia is very important, and it was one of the reasons why a lot of people were saying Detroit was trying to get into their bracket and maybe get them in the second round. They didn't want the Bulls to get ahead of steam because they played very well once they get going.
Well, let's hope they get going tonight. We're getting going from you, Sam Smith, the beat writer from the Chicago Tribune. Our pregame festivities will continue here on Sports Channel. Let's take a short time out, then we'll send it back to our Sports Channel Report studios.
So far in the playoffs, the Bulls have adhered to the Big Bang theory of basketball. In each playoff game, the Bulls have exploded during one quarter and put the game away for good. Mickey Johnson joins us live in the studio to talk about the Bulls' tendency to have that one big quarter. In Game 1, it was the first quarter. They outscored the Sixers 34-20. What happens? What causes the big surges for the Bulls where they put together that one big quarter and put things away?
What the Bulls are doing is playing great defense. Their defense is their offense, and their offense is their defense. What I'm saying, they're getting the quick basket with their defense and keeping the ball away from Philadelphia with their offense.
Okay, we're going to take a look at some of the moments from that first quarter in Game 1 on Saturday. And, Mickey, were the Sixers surprised the way the Bulls came out, or what happened to the Sixers that made them so awful in the first quarter, made the Bulls so good?
Well, I think they were missing their shots. They seemed to be a little tight to me, Philadelphia. They were hitting the front of the rim, and the Bulls took advantage of it. They got the quick rebound and quick fast break to make the easy basket.
Now, were the Sixers just simply not able to set up in the defensive matchups they wanted to when they got back on their end in defense? Or was it just because it was such a helter-skelter style coming at them?
It was a helter-skelter style coming at them. They did give the defense a chance to set up, and that all goes because of the quick fast break that they were getting.
Okay, let's talk about the Bulls' defense now. You touched on it a little bit when we talked about the big surge, but when people see a big offensive run, most of them assume, well, it's the offense doing the job, but a lot of times it isn't, because when you get a surge like that and a lot of easy baskets, usually it's the defense doing the job for you.
Yes, it is. That's what caused games to be won, is the defense. You can have a great offensive player, but good defense always beats the good offense, and that's what helped the Bulls out.
I was amazed on Saturday how quickly the Bulls were able to come over and double team and help out on Saturday. Put this defensive performance from Saturday in perspective a little bit. How good was it really?
It was a great defense. They had a help side when the ball was passed by Philadelphia, and then they double teamed. When they tried to penetrate, they had a good double team here. The pass, almost 24 seconds, went off the 24-second shot, and they ended up getting a bad shot by Philadelphia, and the Bulls pushed it up, and they ended up getting easy baskets.
Michael Jordan, of course, one of the better defensive players in the league, and he was certainly there playing his role as stopper on Saturday.
Great defense right here. And not only Michael, but his teammates were playing great. A great steal here, great anticipation by Michael. Only thing Ricky Green could do was foul him.
That's right. Just make Michael go to the line and earn the shots. Here's my favorite defensive stand from Saturday's game, and I think this is the best illustration out of all the plays I can remember from Saturday's game, of how quickly the Bulls come over and double, especially in a moment here when Charles Barkley is going to get the ball down on the baseline. The Bulls are on him so quickly that it's unbelievable.
They never did give Philadelphia the chance to set up their offense.
Okay, now watch. There's Barkley getting double-teamed down the baseline. Now Charles will throw it back out front, and then watch on the drive into the lane. Here comes Horace over to help out. This is great defense.
Great movement, great anticipation by the defense, and they were helping each other out, and that's what counts.
Okay, and the Bulls, I think we'll see the same thing. What can Jimmy Lynam do to maybe change things up tonight?
Well, the only thing, I don't think Jimmy Lyman can do anything. It's up to the players to make their shot. If Hershey Hawkins have a good game or Mr. Anderson has a good game, then it'll be a much tighter game.
Okay, thank you very much, Mickey. The Lakers continue to roll. The Celtics find that little extra, and the Pistons hammer the Hawks. We'll have all that plus the rest of the day in sports when we come back. The Kings of the NBA are still on the throne. The Detroit Pistons are into the conference semis after taking 3 of 4 in the last 4 games of the series from the Atlanta Hawks. Now, yesterday in Detroit, Isaiah Thomas had a big game, 11 assists. This one is addition to baseline to John Sally. Isaiah also did it himself. A 3-pointer there, 26 points in the afternoon. Bob Weiss couldn't believe it. Atlanta a winner over Detroit, 113-81. Meanwhile, in Boston, Larry Bird takes a tumble in the second quarter. He left the game, but he would return in the third period. And it was a big thing for the Celtics that Larry came back. He had a game-high 32 points for the Celtics. He drives to the hoop to keep the Celtics in the game in the fourth, and then late in the game, he helps the Celtics pick up the victory by a final of 124-121 over the Indiana Pacers. Celtics and Pistons meet in the Eastern Conference semis. Meanwhile, out west, Western semis, the LA Lakers against the Golden State Warriors. Magic Johnson doing it again. Dishes off to Larry Drew. Lakers led by 9 at the half. Tim Hardaway, Chicagoan, had a good game, but he couldn't do enough. The Lakers win it over Golden State, 126-116. Now, there's a couple other series getting ready to start. Detroit plays Boston tomorrow night in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semis, and out west, Utah plays Portland in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal. The Jazz, well, they're going to try and do something they've never done, advance into the conference finals. For most of the members of the Chicago Bulls, the NBA playoffs are familiar territory. After all, the Bulls are in their 6th straight trip to the postseason, and for the 4th year in a row, the Bulls are playing into the month of May. 2 Bulls are new to the playoff hoopla, rookie Scott Williams and guard Dennis Hobson, a 4-year NBA vet who never saw the playoffs while playing in New Jersey.
The other night was the first time I ever experienced a crowd here in the playoffs, and they've been great all year. I had a nice time this year, and I think during this playoffs they supporting us, and we want to come out and play hard for them.
This is really kind of a dream come true for me. Growing up, balling in the NBA, or even playing in the playoffs and winning the World Championship. So for right now, I'm just real excited. It's much like the beginning of the regular season where I came in and was like, oh, I always wanted to play in the NBA, and now it's like I always wanted to win a World Championship. So I'm kind of caught up in the emotions right now. I think I'll settle down a little bit and just kind of concentrate on what's going on in practice. I've kind of been missing up the plays and so forth, and just really just got carried away. But now I think I got my head screwed on straight.
Scott Williams has contributed some quality minutes this year, even though he's just a rookie. Now let's talk about some college basketball. Be sure to join us tomorrow at high noon as we take you to DeKalb for the introduction of the new head basketball coach at NIU. That's noon tomorrow for the beginning of a new basketball era at Northern Illinois University. In Stanley Cup playoff action, the Boston Bruins' road to a 3rd Stanley Cup final in 4 years hit a big bump last night in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Penguins came out absolutely flying when they faced the Bruins in Game 3 of the Wales Conference Final. Pittsburgh jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Boston finally gets on the board in the second period. Cam Neely digs it out of the corner. Ray Bork's all by himself put it on the board, as Ken Harrelson would say. Tom Barrasso gets beaten. 2-1, Boston back in the game. But 16 seconds later, Grant Jennings, his first playoff goal. Watch him just tuck under the mitt of Andy Moog into the net. 4-1, Boston wins at Game 4 of the series tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. And tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's Edmonton at Minnesota. It's Game 3 of the Campbell Conference Final. You can see that live on Sports Channel Plus at 7 o'clock. We'll have a tape delay here on Sports Channel at about 11:30. Baseball news. The Chicago White Sox make a trade today. They get Kevin Castleberry, a middle infielder from the Atlanta Braves, in exchange for infielder Danny Heap. It was not a weekend to remember for the leaders in the American League West. The White Sox were swept at home by the Red Sox for the first time since 1968. While the Oakland A's were outscored 38-16 by the Cleveland Indians. While the A's can't prevent runs, the Sox aren't scoring any. This single by Robin Ventura yesterday was the only hit that drove in a run for the Sox all weekend. Manager Jeff Torborg knows the Sox better get the bats going by the time the Brewers arrive in town tomorrow.
Against us and how we hold up in the tight ball games. Of course, it took us 19 innings in that one game against them, but they're a ball club that can be very dangerous. If you don't make your pitches on them, they can really do damage. And they led the American League last year in stolen bases, so they have that kind of versatility that they can take to you if their pitching holds up.
The Sox play the Brewers tomorrow right here on Sports Channel. The game starts at 7 o'clock, so the Sox will try and get the bats going when they take on Milwaukee at Comiskey. Coming up next, Jim Durham talks with the Bulls head man Phil Jackson. Stay with us. Around the country, the Bulls are known for flashy offense and Michael Jordan. Saturday's win in Game 1 was because of great defense and the ball getting to the hot shooter no matter who it was. Coach Phil Jackson would certainly settle for a repeat performance tonight in Game 2. Jim Durham talked with the coach just a few moments ago.
Back here in Chicago Stadium before the Bulls take on the 76ers tonight in Game 2 in this Eastern Conference Series. Bulls coach Phil Jackson moves in to join me as we take a look back at Game 1 on Saturday and talk about Game 1 on Saturday, I should say. And Phil, you know, I just looked at the statistical breakdown and the teams involved in the playoffs right now in the NBA. You guys are allowing 87.5 points a game with your good defense that you've played.
That's incredible.
Far and away the best in the field.
I didn't realize it was quite that good, but then after Saturday's game, I realized that, you know, following the Knicks series, we kind of felt like we'd squelched them. We anticipated a little more running and gunning in this series, and you know, obviously Saturday went our way all the way.
You know, you guys identified so well the offensive thrust of the 76ers. For example, Ron Anderson, who's given you trouble during the regular season. You were on him with Scottie Pippen. He couldn't get a shot off at times.
Well, I thought the concentration level of Michael and Scottie Pippen on their outside shooters, Hawkins and Anderson, was as good as we played outside shooters all year long. Outside ones, they were just exceptional. And our defense, of course, you know, did a job on inside against Gilliam and Mahorn, who really aren't quite the threats, perhaps, that Hawkins and Anderson or the thorn in the side that they've been to us. But that was very important too. And then, you know, as the game started getting away quickly, you know, Philadelphia had to go to what they could go to, and that's the man. And Barkley just had to take over, and when they went one-on-one, we knew that they couldn't score big, and I think that's the reason why they had to end up such a low-scoring figure.
And you guys offensively, you looked inside to Bill Cartwright early, and was he there big for you?
He really was, and you know, he has that feeling that he can shoot over the top of Mahorn, and Bill could get the height and shoot over the top of people. He's very comfortable in the post and feels good about it. And they gave him some space. The last time we played Philadelphia 3.5 weeks ago, they really crowded the post, and they made it difficult for him to turn in there on that simple little play that we have that goes down into Bill. And this day he had some easy things, and then some things just happened for him good. And when Bolt came in, it just kept going his way, and we were really pleased that he got going, because that gave them, all of a sudden they had to focus defensively on the inside, packing it in, and that let some of our shooters open.
Well, just like in the first series against New York, you had the big win early. Same thing here against Philadelphia, but tonight, of course, you look for the Sixers to really get ready and get after it.
They'll be back. They'll be right back there. I anticipate that, you know, they could double team. They could do a little more of that zone trapping defense. They only ran it once or twice against us in Saturday's contest, and it's something that helps their offense run. They can run out after that. They make you take tough shots, long shots, get the fast breaks, the cross matches, because people are all scattered around on the floor. You can't get to your offensive man at the other end well, and they could get some generated offense out of that. Now, the other thing is that if we focus and get our scorers a shot, it can also break games wide open, and that's a risk they'll have to take. I don't know what they'll do up court, whether they put some pressure on us, whether they'll run the basketball when they come back a little bit harder, but they definitely won't be trying to get Hawkins going, and they will definitely try to get Gilliam going early in the game.
All right. That's it for now from Chicago Stadium, and now let's go back to Jim Blaney.
All right, in just a few moments, we'll be checking back in at the stadium with Mike Goldberg. He'll be joined by Will Perdue. That's coming up when we come back. One of the most gratifying things for Bulls fans to watch this season is the development of Will Perdue. We now go back to the stadium to Mike Goldberg for more on the rapid improvement of the Bulls backup center.
Well, you have that right, Jim Blaney. The things that Will Perdue has done, not only here in the playoffs, but the last part of the regular season, have been outstanding. They're the things that everybody expected him to do, coming out so highly touted out of Vanderbilt University. And the main thing, not only the things he's done on the floor, but the ability he has given Bill Cartwright to get plenty of rest. Just about a half hour ago, up courtside, I talked to the man, Will Perdue. All set? Will, tell me, how about all these quality minutes?
Well, just, you know, fortunately we've been playing well, and I've been playing well. So, you know, when I play well, I play, you know, get a lot of minutes, and, you know, that gets Bill some rest. I think everybody's happy.
One thing I found while watching you so far in the playoffs, you seem to get stronger as the game gets latter parts of the game.
Well, it's a situation when, you know, you're sitting on the bench, you're so anxious to go in, you want to play well. So, you know, when you first come in, you just got to relax and, you know, kind of get to, you know, as they say, let the game come to you, and not try to go to the game. And, you know, fortunately, I'm getting some offensive rebounds and getting some easy putbacks. So, it looks good. And then the old box score the next day.
Yeah, you got that right. What did the Bulls do differently in Game 1 to a team that really dominated you during the regular season?
It's been our defense intensity really picked it up, and that's you know, that's been full court, not just half court. We've been pressing a lot. We pushed the teams into a lot of turnovers. You know, perfect examples the New York game and the first Philly game, and I think we've caught some people by surprise.
How about tonight? What do you expect the Philadelphia 76ers to try to do to you?
Well, I'm sure they watched the film like we did, and they're going to try to control the tempo a little more. I think we ran out and got a lot of easy baskets. I think they're going to try to cut that down.
Will Perdue, let's see you get some more easy baskets tonight, or even take the tough ones. Will Perdue joining me courtside. Now let's go back and join Jim Blaney in the Sports Channel Chicago studio.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. Back in the studios here with Mickey Johnson. Mickey, defense was the overriding theme of Game 1. That certainly shouldn't be any different tonight. But what else was it about the Bulls' performance on Saturday that led to the easy victory? The game looked close in the score, but in the end, it really wasn't.
Well, basically, it was the distribution of the points. The scoring was pretty much even amongst the players. Scotty got his, Horace got his, Michael, of course, got his, and everybody contributed. And that helps the defense not to synchronize on one person.
You hear so much about going to the guy with the hot hand. Bill Cartwright had 12 points in the first quarter. Scottie Pippen 15 in the first half. Do the players consciously look for a guy when they know he's on, or does it just seem that the way the defense is rotating, the way the offense is working, that guy's getting open constantly?
Well, the way the defense was rotating. And what the Bulls did, got the easy basket, the open man. When the defense rotated, left a man open, they gave it to that man that was open.
Okay, thank you very much, Mickey. Mickey will be back here at the half. Right now, it's time for us to get ready to go out to the stadium. Game 2 coming up between the Sixers and the Bulls.
This special Bulls playoff preview has been brought to you by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Honda dealers. Won it by 13.
Another full house in Chicago Stadium. Game 2 in the semifinal round Eastern Conference Series, the Bulls and 76ers. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 1991 NBA playoffs. Jim Durham with Johnny Kerr. The Bulls trying to go up 2-0 on Philadelphia in a series that is a little bit like last year in this respect, John. During the regular season, Philadelphia dominated, but come playoff time, it's the Bulls that dominate.
That's right. This season, they certainly did dominate big time. They averaged 108 points a game, shot 55%. The Bulls, 106, very close, 49%. But that was then. This is now.
This is now. And on Saturday, 37% shooting from the field for Philadelphia. The Bulls at 541. But Charles Barkley had a big day offensively. He scored 34 points in the contest. But after that, And it was a big day for him. 11 rebounds also.
Well, he tried to distribute the ball to the rest of his teammates, but they didn't react very well with it, Jimmy. Look what happened. Hawkins had 10 points, an outstanding scorer, and Turner had 11, and the big guy, Manute Bowles, not under, had 10. So they shut some people totally down.
They really did. 22% shooting for the rest of the 76ers that day. As for the Bulls, I think they expect it tonight to be a little more physical.
I think so, Jim. And, of course, they're not only more physical, but they'd like to see some players step up on their bench. They had a good performance from Will Perdue. Armstrong is so-so, but I look for a better performance from B.J. tonight.
Well, after the game on Saturday, B.J. had this to say, looking ahead to tonight's matchup.
Well, you know, I'll just play according to however the game's played. If they want to play physical, we can play physical. If they want to play up-tempo, we'll do that. But we're just going to go out there and play Chicago's Bulls style of play, and that's playing up-tempo, aggressive defensively, and do what we have to do to win.
I mentioned on Saturday's broadcast that Horace Grant looked more like his twin brother Harvey.
That's right. Something Jimmy and I have on the glasses Horace didn't have on, and he played pretty good without them.
He did. Why not the goggles, Horace?
The last series, it was so physical, and they kept getting knocked off by you and Oakley, and I kept getting frustrated and losing focus on what I had to do out there. And this series, I expected it to be a lot more physical, so I decided not to go with the goggles, and so that Charles and the other guys can't knock them off.
You were in contact?
No, just regular eyes. I can see. I can see.
See. How about the game plan tonight? Well, the Bulls want to keep going with that good defense.
Charles Barkley will be looking for some more help. He can't do it himself.
And as you mentioned, the one part of the game the Bulls may look to is get a little more spark off that bench. We'll be back to Chicago Stadium and have the starting lineups for tonight's game after these messages on the Bulls Network.